Are you thinking about getting the Tamron 150-600mm f5 to 6.3 G2 lens? In this video I'll share my thoughts and experiences about this Tamron lens. I've had this lens for a couple of years and I've used it extensively for wildlife photography. Be sure to watch this video to the very end, as I will also share my tips about how you can use this lens in the best way to get the most out of it for wildlife photography. If we haven't met before, my name is Peter and I'm a nature photographer. If you like this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. Do turn on the notification bell as well while you're at it. I appreciate your support. It helps me create more videos like this one. Anyway, let's get on with this review of the Tamron 150-600mm G2 lens and how to best use it for wildlife photography. If after watching this video you want to know more about it or get this lens, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. For wildlife photography, focal length is pretty important, and this is one of the huge attractions of this lens. Getting as close as 600mm while still being so flexible that you can also capture subjects at a closer range at 150mm is a huge advantage. But especially the reach of 600mm is very valuable when you can't get closer to a subject for different reasons. The build quality feels good and solid, and the lens also feels well balanced. I've used it on a Nikon C6 II with the FTC mount adapter and on this Nikon D810. The lens barrel is made from metal, which makes it feel quite solid. The only issue I've had with the build quality is the lens color. It doesn't rotate as smoothly as you could expect, but it's also a matter of habit and muscle memory. Now, the previous version, the G1, suffered from autofocus freeze-up issues, which has been fixed in this G2 model. Another upgrade that Tamron made was adding weather sealing. Together with the optical performance and good image stabilization, this lens is definitely usable for wildlife photography. Because of the relatively low weight, you can take it with you where you would normally leave a longer lens or a heavier lens behind to avoid carrying it. When I carry this lens down next to my leg sometimes flick the autofocus switch, and when I pick it up to capture a bird in flight or something like that, it's in manual focus. So it's definitely something you have to be aware of, how you carry this lens, so you don't accidentally flick one of the switches. It's not that it happens every time, but once in a while I accidentally flick the autofocus switch to manual when I carry it. Using the zoom ring is even throughout the entire range, but be aware of the zoom ring lock mechanism. If you push the zoom ring away from you, then you lock it, so you cannot adjust the focal range anymore. There's also a zoom lock button that works only at 150mm, so you keep the lens at 150mm while you carry it. Now, the Tamron 150-600mm has 3 image stabilization modes. Mode 1 is the standard mode, and this gives you a good balance between stabilizing the image and also giving you a stable image in the viewfinder. I believe it's around 4 stops of image stabilization. I've used this method the most, and I've had great results with it for handheld shooting. Mode 2 is for panning, and mode 3 doesn't give you any vibration compensation in the viewfinder, as it's only activated just before the image is taken. This should be able to give you up to 4.5 stops of image stabilization according to Tamron. The lens does hunt for focus from time to time, so I suggest that if you know the range where your subject will be, then use the focus limiter switch, as it limits how much the lens can hunt for focus. Now, the lens focuses fast in good light, but it's a bit sluggish when it comes to low light, due to largely its maximum aperture. Particularly when shooting at 600mm, the lens can be slow when shooting in dimmer conditions, and this is also where you'll experience the most focus hunting. If you just zoom out a bit to 500mm, then the focusing experience will be much better. The more familiar you get with the lens, the less you'll experience focus hunting. In good light, the focus is quite fast, even for birds in flight. The lens is generally sharpest at f8, and if you shoot with this Tamron 150-600mm wide open, it's not an extremely sharp lens, but still quite good. However, let's get some context here. The lens has a huge zoom range from 150mm to 600mm focal length, and at the price of around $1,400. So you can't expect it to compete with high-end prime lenses with the same focal length, or even high-end zoom lenses with a shorter focal range. However, when you stop down the lens, it gets quite impressive. At 150mm, the lens is sharp right to the edge of the frame when stopped down. Most photographers would buy this lens for the long focal range, and this is likely where you'll use it in most cases. In the case of wildlife photography, you want to get as close as possible. At 600mm, the corner sharpness falls off quite a bit at 600mm at f6.3, and the center sharpness is also lower than if you shoot at 300mm in my experience. However, if you stop down the lens to f8, the sharpness improves quite a lot, but corner sharpness still remains a bit on the low side. If you can get close enough, and don't need to shoot at 600mm, but you still need to shoot wide open to get enough light, you should consider using it at 400 to 500mm. So let's talk about how you can get the most out of the Tamron 150-600mm for wildlife photography. The first thing is to get down low. To get the most sharpness out of this lens, you'll likely have to shoot at f8 instead of wide open at 6.3 at 600mm. This also means that you should make sure that you have a good separation between your subject and the background. The easiest way to do this is to get down to the eye level of your subject. Let's say that you're capturing waterfowl. If you're just standing up and shooting a bit downwards towards your subject, then the water becomes the background. And at f8, you can't get that smooth background when the background is so close to the subject. However, if you get down on your knee or lie down on your belly, then the background will likely be the other shore, or at least the water further behind the subject, and therefore it will still look buttery smooth and blurred out, making the subject stand out much more. To get the best image quality, it's still important to get as close to your subject as possible. You'll be able to capture so much more detail if you do so. Even though the lens has a range of 600mm, trying to capture an eagle a mile away won't give you any keepers. With a 600mm, you still need to be within 20 or 30 meters of larger birds of prey to get an awesome shot. For waterfowl, like great crested grebes or Eurasian coots, you still need to be within a distance of maybe 10 meters to resolve further details. Since the maximum aperture of this lens is 6.3 at the long end of this lens, and you'll likely have to step it down to get sharper photos, you'll also need plenty of light. I get the best shots with this lens in the later part of the golden hour in the morning and in the first part of the golden hour in the evening. Overall, this Tamron 150-600mm has given me plenty of shots that I couldn't have gotten without the reach of this lens. So I think that this Tamron lens is a great lens for the money. It's sharp throughout the range when stopped down. It has effective image stabilization, quick autofocus, and it's also relatively light and hand-holdable for a lens of this kind of focal length. So what more can you ask for the price? If you like this video, please remember to like it and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to turn on the notification bell as well, so you get notified when I release a new video. If you have any questions about this lens, feel free to drop me a comment. See you in the next video.